To make the glass stirring shaft, you want a piece of 4mm glass rod, about 12 to 14 inches. And so I'm going to heat this in the center of this glass rod using the Bunsen burner. I could increase the air in the Bunsen burner to make it a little bit sharper, but that might make my bend a little bit too narrow. I could actually dial down the oxygen or the air, and that would give me a wider bend. However, it would take a lot longer. So I've kind of got a compromise where there is a blue cone, and so now I'm heating this up. I'm rotating back and forth with my fingers, and now I'm starting to move side to side. Even if you don't get this perfectly centered, that won't be a real issue. And even after just a few seconds, I can feel it starting to get a little bit soft, so I need to be more careful. And I'm moving side to side because I want the bend to be not too broad, but I don't want it to be so narrow that the hook can't fit. So at this point, the glass is soft enough that I can make my U-bend, and I'm going to come up like this. Okay. And there we go. I'm doing this where I'm putting my hands in front of the Bunsen burner, and I'm purely doing that for the camera so that you can see what's going on. So when you do it, you actually, or your students do it, you want to be away from the Bunsen burner. So I went forward. And you can see with only a few seconds in the flame, I have a perfectly good stirrer shaft. The sizes, you can see there's a little bit of a size difference on either end. That won't make any difference as far as operation. Without a doubt, this. The pitch of your bend, if the bend is too narrow, you can have difficulty mounting it on a hook. If it's really big and broad, then you can have issues of it knocking around on the sides. But typically, doing it the way I just did, your students are going to have a tendency to make the bend a little bit more narrow than broad. If I wanted a broader U, what I would do is I would turn the air down, have a softer flame, and I would spend more time in the flame, especially moving laterally, side to side, and then I would slowly make that bend, trying to have about 2 to 3 inches of glass. This really, I had about 1 inch of glass that was hot enough to move. So you want to, again, more flame. If you wanted a larger U, I would suggest using a Fisher burner instead of a Bunsen burner. And I chose this particular Bunsen burner. I literally just pulled it out of the drawer in Gen Chem because it's very old. It's been beaten up quite a bit, but it's absolutely functional for what we're doing here. We actually have some really nice torches in our inorganic lab, but I wanted to use something for this demo that everybody in a chemistry lab should have access to a Bunsen burner or the equivalent. What I'm going to try to do now is I'm adjusting the flame. Here, let me show you the two extremes. So if we have a lot of oxygen, air, coming through, this is air, but it's burning the oxygen, of course, we get the inner cone very sharp, very hot. If we close the air vent, the flame becomes much more orange, kind of like a birthday candle, if you will. Well, the thing is, that's not hot enough to shape borosilicate glass. So right here, I can hear it starting to make that roar where the cone is, and I'm going to dial it back just a little bit. And the reason why, I want this flame to be hot enough to move the glass, but not hot enough that it heats up the glass too quickly. And the reason why is I'm going to try and make a wider bend. So I've made a couple bends already where they're more of a hairpin. much sharper. See that? And now I'm going to try and make a bend where the glass, that bend, the diameter of it is maybe double what that is. And to do that, I do need the glass hot enough to move, but I need to heat up a larger section. To properly do this, you would use a Fisher burner. And we do have Fisher burners, but I'm going to use a Bunsen burner just because the Bunsen burner is the most common torch that you'll have available. And as you're doing this, if it feels like it's taking forever, you might have to increase the oxygen a little bit when you're doing this. I can feel this getting a little soft, but not very much, which is good, because again, of what I'm trying to accomplish. Putting just a little bit of force to get the bend started. There it goes. And once you've done that, then you can make adjustments of how much you're heating the glass rod and at what angle as this goes on. Now, the other thing that's different is because this flame is at a lower temperature, notice I'm making the bend in the flame. I should have mentioned that earlier. I've had to make a compromise as far as the lighting in here. If it's really dark, you can see the flame well, but you can't see the glass. And if it's too bright, you can't see anything. So, okay, so I've got a bend started, and it's actually probably a little narrower than what I was hoping for. So I'm going to slow down. Again, heat up more glass around that bend. Again, you want to be patient. Yeah. And this was okay. It's not as wide as I was hoping, but you can see the difference, right? I was hoping to get it a few millimeters wider, but for the mechanical stir, a few millimeters difference in the width of the glass stirring shaft can make a very significant difference, both on putting it on the hook and its ability to stir. So again, at first these might look identical, but if you look carefully, you can see that it's not quite twice the pitch of the bend, but it's close.